Nimrod beats Juggernaut up. Jean comes in. She's like, enough. She grabs everybody telekinetically. She's like, stop it. She's like, this has been going on too bad. It's like people are dying. We won't do it. She's like, I'm gonna put my friends down, and then all of you Orcus, I'm gonna change your minds. You're not gonna hate mutants anymore. I don't know why she's moving so slow while she's doing this and talking about it, but whatever. I don't know why she's telling everybody to
She got to
plan.
give a speech, child.
She's telling everybody to plan, but okay, she's doing that. As she's doing that, who sneaks in through the gate? Hello, everyone, and welcome back for the final episode of Another Relaunch. Sentimental. We're your hosts. I
Yes.
am Bessie Braddock, Captain Britain, formerly Psylocke.
Ooh, and I am Lorna Dane, aka Polaris. You know who she is.
Yes, magnetic. I don't know. I was gonna try and make it like a female Magneto name, but I didn't like it. So I just stopped.
That's why Polaris works.
Yeah, it's like
Mistress
I
of
don't like.
magnetism.
Boom. That's how we like to do it. How are you doing?
I am good, surviving out here.
Yeah.
It's getting it's getting hot as hell.
Did you see the guy? He said we're in the state of global boiling.
That makes sense.
No longer global warming. It is global boiling. And yeah, it's been a heat wave. I think I went outside to the grocery store. I walked there and I was like, oh, this was a mistake. And mind you, I only live 2 blocks from the grocery store. So it's not a far it's not a far walk at all. And I was just like, nah, I can't do this again. It's crazy.
Yeah, the world. It's wild. They just said recently on the news that they like had aliens, and I feel like everybody was like,
My gosh.
so.
Like no one moved. No one moved. It was just like, yeah, we know that.
Literally, everybody was like, "Well, rent's due in like a few days. We're not worried
Like,
about that right now."
are they going to make their move? Is what I need to know. But it was really interesting to see, and it just they're watching, they're here. We just watched Secret Invasion. We knew that.
Ooh,
I know
unfortunately,
we'll
we
talk,
did.
we'll talk about that later. Anyways,
Yes, we did. Okay,
yeah.
but let's go ahead and get into the updates of the week. Not too much stuff going on. First of all, everything is getting pushed back. Like they just said that the Across the Universe sequel has just been delayed indefinitely, as well as a bunch of other like movies have all been kind of pushed back or rearranged to next year in 2024. Um, so obviously that's because of the strike and everything there. But what I wanted to do was take some time really quickly and just talk about any of our favorite moments that we've had over this like last 3 years here at AR.
It's crazy. Time
It's
is flying.
crazy. Yeah. Um, and yeah, reminisce for a sec. I think that like this show has been fantastic. I've had a great time because this was literally what we were doing already. We just changed it into
Yeah.
a podcast. We literally just talk to each other about comic books. And yeah, I would have to say, like, talking to all of the creators was crazy. Jim Zub, um, getting them to talk to Kelly Thompson specifically about Captain
Shout
Marvel.
out to Kathy Thompson. She's the
Yeah,
dog.
yeah, Queenie. That was really dope. It just like I don't know, I had a great time. Like this
Yeah.
was fantastic. Connecting with everybody too, talking about all the rereads and relaunches that we used to do and new ideas for people.
The relaunches. That was hard too. People don't know, but it was hard to do.
Hmm.
But no, I agree with a lot of this stuff. Obviously, like the interviews, Kelly Thompson, Jim Zub, and Jordan Clark, like they were like super cool to me and talk to. Like even some of the creators we talked to behind the scenes, Philip Kennedy Johnson, and people like that. Like they were all super dope. And I specifically liked when we read things that we didn't like.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. It was just something about like one thing I've always appreciated about you just in life is like you don't cut your cards, you're very honest and like you let it be known. And just I think one of those things is you just gotta let it be known sometimes. Like I'm not feeling it. It was just always kind of like funny to me, and I just enjoyed that a lot. Of course, like you said, when we would interact with people, doing the rereads was always also really fun to do. I think going back, like reading comics, you kind of go into it knowing that you're going to have to read things a lot of times, or like go back and see the story fully and wholly. And we read a lot of things that I don't think I would have read. And I feel like that kind of helped push me out of my comfort zone to start reading more in different things. How many characters did I discover I loved while we were doing this? Blue Marvel, Star Lord, Enchantress, like it's built up. Thor, like characters who I never would have read before because maybe we just happened to read something that they were in. And I was like, no, let me give it a shot. Or just getting that mode saying, oh, I do want to talk about this, or I need to do some research for a relaunch because this is how I want to see. Now I got to discover what this character is actually about so I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so much rediscovery too. Like I've rediscovered my love for Rogue through this podcast. There was
You
a
did,
time
because it was
where
touch and go there for a
it was touch and go,
it was
which is
not.
wild because when I like got into comics when I was a kid, I was definitely one of those people where my trinity was, Jean Storm Rogue. It was those three.
Whoa,
And
the deck's cleared.
those were the dolls for me. Um, and then, surprisingly, people always think that like during the era where I was kind of shaky on Rogue, they thought it was because I was a Captain Marvel fan, but really, no. Like it was the Wonder Man shelving that bothered me. But I've come to like really like that, and just like because I went back and did a bunch of rereads, where like we did some Uncanny Avengers stuff, and just like seeing her again when I probably wouldn't have had the time, and like kind of being like I wouldn't say forced, but like having it re-brought up again through this podcast was great. So I like rediscovered my love for Rogue, um, as well as like rereading stuff now is completely different than how I felt back then. Like when it was coming out, a lot of the stuff that we would reread, I had read like once when it came out, and haven't really gone back with it. Like the Academy X kids, I don't think a lot of them kids have it. I'm sorry, but if you were to ask me 15 years ago, 20 years ago when that came out, like those were some of the characters that I really liked. I
It's
was
so
going up for
crazy that you
Hellion.
say that because I was just thinking about the new X-Men the other day and just like how underappreciated they are and like how they really need to be moving up. And it's like I'm seeing characters like, I don't know, Albert pop back up in Dark X-Men. Go get Hellion. Or the one, not the one that died in Young X-Men Wolf Cub. Was that his name?
I think so. I think that's what I call them.
I feel like that was his name, Wolf Cub. That's not a good name.
That's what I mean.
Maybe
A
that
lot of
wasn't
them
even
don't
him.
have it.
Maybe I'm just but why would I call him Wolf Cub?
Because he looks like that. I thought that was what.
I don't know. I don't know. A lot of the new X Men who deserve to get to the places that they needed to go have gotten there. Dust, Pixie, Surge kind of fell to the wayside. I don't know what happened there. She should be a lot
The
higher
War
than she.
College was supposed to be her moment, but that didn't really go too much for her.
Yeah, that never worked. I also think he's not my favorite, but I do think that Anole has also gotten left
The
behind.
Shaft, yeah, yeah.
He was very much one of the few that could have been up there. Rock Slide too. He was actually making it. He died, so he's Wrong Slide now. But like he was up there.
I mean, they gave him. That's part. I guess that's the highlight for him was
To die.
was becoming Rock Slide. I guess.
Oh, the poor kid. But I don't know. The rest of them, Wind Dancer, they keep trying to make her pop.
Yeah, I like her powers. She's
She has
cool.
great powers and she has a really great personality. I don't know. I feel like a lot of times when characters get elemental powers, they kind of get tossed. Storm is the only one who really stays where she's at. Everyone else, I think maybe because they look at them as a pale imitation of her. So it's like, oh, what do I need? All these people who can make wind or water flow. Storm can do all that. Iceman can do all that.
But I think also like they don't know how to use them in combat. You know.
That And it's crazy because wind is
Storm
like
always
such
got
an
her
easy
knife,
thing, I feel
so
like.
like they can always
She loves her knife,
they'll
okay?
depower
And
her and just make her fight with the knife.
it's crazy to me because I feel like wind is such an easy one. You can cut with it, and especially like a character like Wind Dancer who can carry sounds over the air. Like there's tons she can do. I
Yeah,
don't know. Fire, not so much. You gotta go.
you can figure it out. They figured it out with Sunfire. Check out Rogue's solo from 2006. He would like heat the guns in people's hands. He's very precise with his abilities and his
That's
powers.
still. You watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, right?
Hmm. Of
You
course.
remember when they created lava bending?
Yes.
I always hated lava bending because it just felt like such an overpowered, ridiculous ability that can kind of solve anything. And I kind of feel like that's what it is with fire powers a lot of times. Even like the aspect of like, oh yeah, he's melting the bullets and or melting the guns and doing this and like it's just too destructive of a power. Like you gotta rein that in.
I like it.
That's why they attack.
Yes, because they have that destruction. But you know, some of them can use it creatively and as a superhero, like Sunfire.
I don't know.
That's like or Human Torch.
I don't know. Even he's weird to me.
Well, you don't really like the Fantastic Four, so
That's true. He's always no, it's just destructive. But whatever, that's fine. Fire. I like the power though. Obviously, I like Firebird, but that's why she never gets used.
And Firestar.
And
But she
Firestars
wasn't
is
really
different
fire, I
though.
guess. Yeah, it's
It's
microwaves.
microwave.
Yeah.
Get back and hear my voice. You too close.
Good for her.
She's a
Although
queen.
she's gonna have a problems with Rogue, but we'll talk about that later.
She'll get him.
Not too much.
Just let it be known.
She told her sleep with the lights on.
She should have said, "I am the light."
But yeah, I think I've had a fantastic time like on the show. I just know that like we may come back, who knows? But for now, definitely going to be taking a break. And with that, let's go ahead and take a break, and then we're going back.
Ooh. Welcome back, everyone, to this is another week of comics, but it's also, I guess, our final week of comics here. And
Yeah.
it was kind of fitting actually because a lot of books ended this week,
Hmm.
so a lot of things were done. Let's go ahead and get some mentions. We're gonna do like one big issue with the gala. So a few things. The excellent number 5 that was the final of this mini series, and guess who finally made her comeback? Venus de Milo is
Oh,
here and she
homegirl.
is alive. She teleported, I guess, out to like a different universe, and she was like, I repaired myself, and she is that girl. She's here. We deserve a mini series of just her next. So that was very exciting. Hellcat number 5 also came about this week. That was the ending of her mini series. Putting her, we found out who killed the boyfriend and all the things that were going on with her. It kind of still left her in this dark place, which I
Oh,
wasn't really expecting, but we'll see what comes out from that. Hopefully, Patsy pops back up again sometime soon. She-Hulk number 15 also came out. That was the finale of this book as well, and it was just this She-Hulk book has been just a huge romance comic, pretty much detailing the story of like her, Jack Parts and stuff. And now she's got this new villain guy who's kind of basically like the Catwoman to her Batman. So he's like,
oh,
yeah, he's like a sexy thief, and he's always trying to get up on her and like whatever. She wasn't feeling. She called Jack of Hearts while they were arguing, and he like took her phone and crushed it while she was trying to leave a message for him to come. And later on in the issue, there's this big bomb that's about to go off, and who pops down and saves the day? And it's Jack of Hearts, and she's like, "Jack, you came." He's like, "Yeah, I got your message." And I was like, "Period." I was like, "Her man, man,
they're cute
man."
together.
Um, so that was really good to see. Uh, Action Comics also came out this weekend. DC continued this trend of like night terrors, a lot of really good books with like some great art popped up. But the biggest book of the week was the Hellfire Gala from the X-Men. And this gala was the beginning of Fall of X. I feel like we have been falling for a very long time, and now we finally hit the ground. And it was a lot of blood.
Yeah, it was wild. A
So
lot of things
let's go
happening.
ahead. I'll do like just a little quick overview of the issue. We start out. Kamala Khan is a mutant. We knew this already. We talked about it. Everybody known. It was like
Well,
Marvel's
no,
worst
she's
kept
an
secret.
inhuman mutant hybrid, is what they're saying.
She's biracial. Excuse me.
She's
I didn't mean
biracial.
to say that. She is an inhuman mutant hybrid. She has been resurrected. We do not know what her abilities are because her mutation did not activate before the Inhuman Terrigen Cloud activated that aspect of her, and they say that's lucky because if the mutation had been active, who knows what might have happened? She could have died. But everybody's, they want to tell the world that she is a mutant, and she's kind of like, no, let's hold off on
Emma,
that.
well, not everybody. Emma said, "You need to tell people."
And she's kind of like, no, let's hold off on that. There's like a way I want to do this and like get it out on my own. They respect it. We get to the gala. Immediately, I don't know if it was early or what. There's not a lot of people there. We'll start off with that. But Kamala meets Xavier. They have a few words. We see a few different people going around. The gods that are going to be in Hickman's new series have popped up and made an appearance. Ileana goes to see them. We see a couple of Avengers around talking to some mutants. They're making comments about like Kingpin being on the island and how that looks. We see
I ain't like
Destiny.
the way I ain't like the way Sam said that, talking about some of my
And
best friends are mutants. What's going
it was
on?
and it was a lie because
What you mean?
it was like who are you talking about, Wanda? But whatever, Destiny and Mystique have kind of run off and they're having an argument. Kate's still on the gate, so they bump into her. Chimera comes over to Kamala and she goes up for Xavier, so I might be turning around on her. I'm just gonna let that be known. But while all of this is going on, the Avengers then get like a distress beacon that something's going on, so they all dip out the party. Rogue, who is the Avenger, also gets the beacon on her, so she's like, "I'm gonna leave too," and was like, "Everybody's leaving the party. What's going on?" Scott had to leave because the treehouse was getting attacked. She's like, "We need to do something quick," so they go to have the X-Men vote. Jean gets up there. She talks about how Sink and Talon will be the new leaders of mutant kind as her and Scott have stepped down. We announce the new team. We get this beautiful shot. Our vote winner this year was Juggernaut, for those who did not know. They made a cute little thing with moment with him and Jean, and they were talking about like all the things that he's been doing. And Juggernaut is one of those characters who I feel like has kind of been in the background of Krakoa, but he's been like doing a lot of support work,
Yeah, the
especially
solo series.
like Legion and Way of X, that little mini series he had, and he really has had this moment. He is someone who we know has a
Tumultuous.
relationship with the X-Men. um, so I thought that was a nice moment to kind of have him come around again in this era. But we get the entire team all together. It's Sync, Talon, Cannonball, Dazzler, Frenzy, Prodigy, Jubilee, and our winner Juggernaut. They look good. Jubilee talks about she sees a falling star. Let's make a wish. Who actually it is? It's Nimrod. He kills the majority of them in one fell
King.
swoop. And then Orcus comes in full force and a battle ensues. It's like just a bunch of pages back to back. That's just like some really great moments of the X-Men. Jean doing some great feats, holding in a shockwave to shoot Juggernaut back at Nimrod. We see the captains, Kanan and Magic, try and jump into action. Magic's powers do not work. Shocking. uh Iceman goes full force into Nimrod as well, who Nimrod does kill him. He has like this really chilling scene where his body's melting. He's calling out to his friends, not Beast. And by his boyfriend, well, I don't know if Romeo's his boyfriend. They're just having fun.
You know how the girls do.
And
I don't know if he's on his Instagram. Is what you're trying to say.
I don't know. He's not getting posted. I mean, he brought him to the party. It's like, oh, don't take our
But he
picture.
might have
Though.
ended up on a story. Maybe that's gonna be gone in 24 hours.
Orcus continues to send upon the Hellfire Gala with their new Stark Sentinels, Omega Sentinel, and what's that man's name? Dr. Stasis, who's also
Dr. Stasis.
Sinister. Yeah, they
Yeah.
come through the gates. They reveal that they've also been messing with the medicine and it can affect humans. So like all the humans at the party start attacking each other. It's chaos. Strong Eyes throwing Kate into the Sentinels. You have Proteus turning one of the Sentinels into metal, or excuse me, glass. Um, Chimera is trying to protect Kamala. Everybody's working. They're going. Nimrod beats Juggernaut up. Jean comes in. She's like, enough. She grabs everybody. telekinetically. She's like, stop it. She's like, this has been going on too bad. It's like people are dying. We won't do it. She's like, I'm going to put my friends down, and then all of you orcas, I'm going to change your minds. You're not going to hate mutants anymore. I don't know why she's moving so slow while she's doing this and talking about it, but whatever. I don't know why she's telling everybody.
You know, she got to give a speech, child.
Telling everybody the plan, but okay, she's doing that. As she's doing that, who sneaks in through the gate? Moira McTack, who is now like infamous for being the X-Men traitor and turning herself into a robot, which poor Moira, she fell hard. But nonetheless, she comes and she stabs Jean. We'll talk about that later. She kind of comes. She comes through. She stabs Jean through the back with the little knife that is covered in black swill, and we know that black swill. Shout out to Teeny Howard. The influence. Where would the books be without her? Okay. Like, where would they be without her? Because she gave them that. But nonetheless, she stabs Jean. The mutants attack. She gets Xavier. She's like, make them stop. He makes them stop. She tells them, you need to make all the mutants leave. While this is going on, Jean is communicating with Firestar while she's dying. She's letting her know, look, we got to get you on the Orchis. You're going to be a traitor. She tells her about how the X-Men are fallen, how all of these things are very bad. She can't make her do this. She has to volunteer. Firestar is like, I'm in, because naturally she has been that girl. She was last year's vote winner. She's been trying to prove herself to mutant kind, which is like makes it a very bittersweet, sad moment a little bit that she's doing this, and now everyone's going to think she's a traitor. And against
until they find out the real tea. They'll come back around.
But Jean needs her to get in there to figure out how Orcus got all of this done, and then like spread the word so they can fix it as they do things and try and fight, I guess, because they just lost really bad. Xavier begins to make all of the mutants around the world go into the Krakoan gates, and while he's doing that, Mother Righteous, another sinister lady, is doing some magic spell, and she takes that off with her when they all walk through the gates.
It's always magic. Ruining the day. Or maybe saving it, because she took Krakoa Atlantic into this magic sphere and saved it away.
Saving the day. Listen to that. The machines are the ones who ruin the day, actually, if you want to discuss it. But anyways, while Xavier was making all these mutants do these things, we see a few mutants that have been on the X-Men and been around him for years. There's this red triangle of letters that says resist. And we discovered that this is actually something that popped up like years ago in Al Ewing's Avengers run with Sunspot. Was the first person who he had talk about it. He just used it recently again with Storm and X-Men Red. And now here we are getting kind of like, there's a nice data page about it, talking about how Xavier put this thing with all of his students that if he ever was in a place where he was against them, they had a way to fight back. We get a bunch of X-Men like Emma and those people who are able to resist it. They kind of wake up for a quick second, get teleported out. Orcus is trying to attack. Kingpin crushes someone's head, and that Lord Chantel lady dies.
Yes.
Grand opening, grand closing.
Yes.
Nimrod pops back up. They tell him about, Firestar being the traitor. It looks like he has beaten Juggernaut to death. His helmet was kind of squished, which I didn't notice at first. So that was kind of sad to see. The mutant resistance is starting to, kind of amp up. The mutants realize they can't use the gates. We get back to Orcus. Xavier is there. Moira is ready to kill him. And then who comes flying in?
Queenie.
Anna Marie.
Rogue.
Darkon? LeBeau? Did she say Gambit's last name?
Mm-hmm.
Good for her. She saves it.
Her mare.
She rips Moira in half. She sees Firestar. She's like, Firestar, like, you're a traitor. Sleep with the lights on, sugar. Firestar's not worried. She flies out. Xavier is like,
one thing that my girl don't like is a traitor. Ask Wanda.
I'll give her that. Xavier's like, no, I'm taking the Krakoa. Like, I can't feel any of the mutants. He thinks he's killed everybody. Since Gacy doesn't know what's going on, he sends Rogue off. He says, avenge them, avenge Krakoa. And X is falling. Also, I should note that while the mutants were going through the gates, Magic, who was one of our captains of Krakoa, by the way, who was not able to resist, was going through a gate with Curse, the kid who has like bad luck powers or curse powers, whatever. He was apparently cursing Xavier as he was going through the gate. So it's looking bad for Charles. And as a Charles sympathizer, I'm sad.
Hopefully he gets up and figures it out, because it's looking sad for him. Krakoa is No more. Everybody walked through the gates. He said everybody's gone.
And I think
He says
like
they dead. I don't think they're dead.
I don't think they're dead either. Whatever Mother Righteous did, she's got them in a ball or something, trying to get to Dominion, whatever her plan is. But Xavier, I think it's just so sad for him. He's just a man. I think everyone loves to hate him, and I just don't get it. He takes
Yeah.
in so much. He is so passionate about his people and his students, and like everyone tries to say, like, oh, yeah, he loves the humans more than the mutants, and it's like, no. If this didn't happen, all these humans were about to die. Who were they going to be attacking? The mutants. He already knows how this war goes, and it's like I'm trying to avoid the bloodshed here, and I'm trying to save my people, and I have to save my people by saving these people, and that didn't even work. This
Mm-hmm.
is a man who has put everything on the line for these mutants, and
I mean, put in that position, he felt like he had no choice. Magneto did say, watch him because everybody around him is gone. Moira was a traitor. She gone. Magneto said, I'm ready to retire. I don't want to do this no more. And,
everyone's turning against him. It's disgusting.
you know, Xavier's got his back against the wall and he's willing to do anything to still do good. And that's not always a good thing. Truly willing to do anything. He told everyone, all the mutants on Earth, and what a display of power, by the way. But he told all of the mutants on Earth to walk through a gate that he didn't know where they was going.
He had to. Everyone was look at the Jean's bloody or skeleton was laid out in front of him
Yeah,
with
hair's
her
still
hair
intact.
still going.
Yeah,
That
bundle's
was
still there.
I don't know. He was put in an impossible place. I feel bad for him, and it's going to be sad to see. He does have an immortal issue coming up in a few months. That's I guess going to detail him being on this island by himself and what's kind of going on there. So that's that. There are about to be a string of new titles popping out for the X line. Alpha Flight, Children of the Vault, Dark X-Men, Realm of X. X-Men will still be going strong, of course. Uncanny Avengers, we know that's coming as well. So like it's
Miss
gonna be
Marvel, the
like
New Mutant.
Miss Marvel, the New Mutant. It's about to be a dire time for the X line, and it's kind of exciting. I don't know. I don't know if exciting is the right word. No, exciting is the right word. However, also I think that if you have lived through a lot of like extinction events with the X-Men, as they do have, it can be a bit tiring also.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I will say that I think a lot of really great X stories have come out of the X-Men having extinction of events.
This to
Decimation.
me felt like a little bit like Second Coming, and I love that story.
Yes, like I'll never forget the first time I read House of M. Wanda said no more mutants, and then you get to the next issue, and it's just the fallout of that, and you see like Emma waking up in the school, and like they're walking around, people don't have powers. Iceman comes out, we're like seeing mutants all over the world, everyone's reacting. It's just like damn. And then you even read that new X-Men issue, which talked about it, and like you see all the students waking up and like reacting to not having powers and how that goes on. Like those things like hit, and it was like horrible. The bus came and exploded. Like they were getting attacked. The Sentinels descended upon the school. Emma fired Danny. There was beef everywhere. Like the girls be going through it, but it was hot.
Yeah, yeah, it was good.
You didn't know what was
The
going
drama,
on,
the
and it
soap
was
opera
hot.
drama was
Like
there.
the soap opera drama, and I think that's what a lot of books have been missing in the line lately. I feel like those conflicts and that personal aspect to it that like really makes it exciting and really gets you invested hasn't been there. And I feel like Fall of X is the thing that's kind of putting that back into the line. You're going to see these people interact with each other. You're going to see them with their backs against the wall. You're going to have to see them kind of lash out and like be the people that they need to be because things aren't sweet. They was on Paradise before, chilling, not worrying about dying. Now they can't use their gates. Now resurrection's kind of on hold. Now a bunch of people just got killed at their fancy party. Some of their best friends. Now they can't go back home. Now all these mutants are gone. Now everybody's scattered to the winds. Jean is dead. She
Again.
told Scott, again. She comes in, she uses her powers, and she dies. That's her thing.
Yeah, that's her status quo. She did get to tell her loved ones, I love you before she
She
died this
did.
time.
And it resulted in a really cool Wolverine page. So we
King.
appreciate that. Scott, I don't know. He was back.
I wonder what's going to happen with Scott with the way he kind of went about handling that alarm in the treehouse and not really winning that fight. I wonder what's going to be happening with him. I think he got captured.
When I go back and read like these X-Men issues, Scott doesn't really win a lot of fights. He's kind of been dying a lot.
He does get dying a lot. He like is great giving everybody the strategic order,
Yeah.
but then like I don't know,
He
he get
feels that
overwhelmed.
fight been like
Yeah, you do.
it's like, oh, it's not looking good. Stop sending that man out there. Let him stay to the back.
He do always end up like fighting for his life. It looks like he's about to do even more of that. That cover with him and his eyes being removed is wild.
So shot. But all in all, I thought there were some good parts of this issue. Again, like I understand that during events you kind of have to let your suspension of disbelief belief take over, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you had to do that here. I feel like there were some moments during this issue where they're too dependent on specific people's powers. Like, okay, Magic can't teleport anybody else out, but like, where's all the others? Pixie not around, Lila Cheney, Blink. You just had a team of teleporters on Sword. None of these people are at the party. Exodus can teleport people. He just teleported an entire like island or to a Mars.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind
I
of
I
weird.
think it was that they were trying to say that no one could teleport that many people at once. Even though we didn't see that the party was packed, clearly it looked like nobody was really there and everybody was leaving too. I think the impression was supposed to be that there were too many people for these people, and for some reason, the large scale teleporters that the X-Men have are Magic and Manifold, and Manifold is like been put in
Oh, he
stasis.
in the thing. I guess I can see that. It's not true, but again, like I
Right,
understand you
right.
have
It's
to
not
kind
true.
of
Yeah.
like dumb it down a little bit. So those are like just very small nitpicks for me. They didn't necessarily ruin the issue in any way. Um, but those were just that. All in all, I honestly think the issue was very exciting. I think like the whole thing of Firestar being the traitor again is like very heartbreaking and poignant. And I think that's kind of the thing that's going to turn a lot of those people who were still trying to hate on the doll and her being on the team. That's kind of moved them to the other
They've
direction.
switched over now. I've noticed a lot of the people who were dragging her and calling her all kinds of names, cop,
Mm-hmm.
and now they see how she actually is as a character, and
They
she's
love
down for
her.
the cause.
She's taking one for the team, and so we appreciate that. And I am kind of like excited to see again who's going to be the first people to come into contact with her if she does reveal like to certain mutants. Oh, Jean told me to do this before she died. If people even believe her, which I don't know. I feel like if
Rogue
someone said
already
to,
know.
but again, she didn't tell Rogue. Like
she
if
might she might touch her to get the real
oh, that
that
could
kind
be a
might be
good
a thing.
thing too. Yeah, so a lot of that stuff could work out. We'll see how that goes. I think the whole aspect of the X-Men being scattered all over the place is kind of interesting and fun. I'm excited to see what happened with Iceman, and because he got a really bad defeat.
Yeah,
So
just melting away. He would. He just probably just evaporated.
yeah, I mean, and again, we already know that some of these characters are going to have series. Jean has a miniseries coming out. Iceman has a miniseries coming out. So like that also kind of lessens some of the impact of it for me. But
Yeah,
seeing the other faves like Dazzler and Frenzy getting crushed, it was like, oh damn, that was sad because
rest in peace,
obviously
Quincy.
they're not going to be resurrected anytime soon.
Right. They can go back to sit on the shelf like they already were.
Yeah. Ugh,
Can't go back to
Frenzy,
not being used.
they just keep doing her wrong. I don't get it. She's
I know.
always almost right there, and it just. What did you think about the team that they announced?
I mean, it's a team.
Okay.
It's not a team for me, but it's a team. Um, I like Frenzy, so
That's crazy.
you
That
know.
is crazy. I don't know. I think that's an interesting team. Obviously, I would remove maybe like one or two people, but I'm all about sync talent. I'm just letting people know that they're fantastic. I
Mm,
love them being the leaders. Dazzler's obviously a powerhouse. She's a vet. Juggernaut, he's a powerhouse. He's been around too. The Prodigy thing, that's for the new X-Men fans. Frenzy, she always deserves. The only
Queen.
one I could really do without is Cannonball and Jubilee. I mean, if you want them, I think Jubilee's a little bit redundant if you're gonna have Dazzler and Cannonball. Don't he got a kid?
He do got a kid,
He'll be a
but
daddy.
I mean, Frenzy and Juggernaut are also kind of redundant. Sometimes you just kind of got to show the difference between them while they're next to each other.
Strength users are never really redundant. You always need strength.
I mean, they could both kind of do the same thing, right?
Yeah, but like strength, you always need strength.
I
You
mean,
don't
I'm not gonna argue. It's
need
one of my
that.
favorite powers. It's one of my
strength is
faves.
strength is like such a like
I love
honestly a non
invulnerability.
think of
The
DC
best.
characters. Everybody got super strength over there. That's all they do. It's kind of we get it. They look different.
The invulnerability, you can't hurt me. Love it. But I
You
love a
do love
defensive character.
you do love a break. Look at Rogue this issue. Let's be honest.
Tank,
How did you feel
queen.
about her moment? Does this feel
She finally got one.
like does it feel are you
I
hopeful
feel
for
like
the future for her?
I am. And it makes me interested to see what she's going to be doing over in Uncanny Avengers. It seems like the team is kind of coming together because Cap is bringing the team together to respond to this big attack that's been happening all around the world on different, like politicians. So I'm to see what she's going to be doing over there. I saw her still like flying and punching and stuff. So yeah, no, I love that Rogue. Um, and I'm glad that she did finally get a moment in this one. I've always said Rogue needs to be fighting robots because it lets her get to use her flying tank abilities and not just touch something and win. Or if she does need to touch something to gain an ability or memory or something from someone else, she has to like think about it and work against the robot instead of just kind of touching the robot and being the winner.
You know, I feel like I've said this before, but I feel like this issue really drove it home for me that Rogue is just such a superior character when she's allowed to be an adventure. Obviously, she's always going to be an ex character. That's where her family is, her husband, all that stuff, so she can interact with them. But I think when it comes to her being in a book, and like having her job, it should be an adventure. Her leaving with the team to go save the day, her running back in to save Xavier, and even as they're flying off, like, oh, I'm taking you to Steve Rogers because he's getting the Uncanny Avengers back together. Like, this just feels like where she fits. And I feel like lately, especially in the Krakoan era, her place in the X-Men has been kind of muddled and she's been shuffled around. And she's one of those ones who has done a lot of things in the book, so she can fit a lot of hats. And so when it comes down to it, it's just like, oh, okay, well, what do you want to put her? And it's like, but you always know that Rogue is a superhero. And like, who are
Yes.
all superheroes? The Avengers. So it's like, even if she's sitting around just hanging in the book, she should always be an Avenger to me.
Got the card still, you know. She can always
Okay.
go back over there. I personally like her to be a superhero, but an X Men. So I like her on the X Men as they are a superhero team. But I'm also like a big fan of her with the Avengers because she is a superhero.
I don't know. I just think it fits. I don't know. That's my controversial opinion.
Hmm.
I would
Yeah,
honestly be okay like if Rogue was never on a like official X-Men team again. If she kind of stayed in the back as a back as she's been doing, like it being a background character, like she pops up every now and again. But like when she was on the team, it was always an adventure. It just makes sense to me.
I don't know if I
That's
can
my
go that far.
that's
That's
my
fair.
take. That's my
That's fair. I don't know if I can go that far though. I do like her with the X Men, but I mean, I love the issue. It was great. I thought Nimrod is my favorite, all-time favorite X-Men villain, as y'all have heard me say throughout a lot on this show, especially during the Krakoan era where he's gotten this resurgence again. Um, so this is really cool to like really show everyone how like again he's like the point of him is to be unstoppable and to be a killer. My reason I've always liked him is because I like a villain that has that stakes with them where they've actually gotten stuff done. A villain that succeeded before, and Nimrod's got a track record. He's definitely succeeded plenty
he
of times
does.
before. So I like that this happened there. I'm sure the mutants obviously will come back, the ones who have died. It'll be interesting to see how they get them to come back. Again, I think that everyone that walked through a gate ended up on that Krakoa Atlantic. And this is basically the story on how they consolidate Krakoa down to one island instead of two. And it'll also be the X-Men will have to defeat Mother Righteous, and her being magical and Apocalypse being magical. I can see Apocalypse trying to go rescue Krakoa from Mother Righteous, and that's what his new X-Men have to go do.
If Apocalypse is the one to take her down, I'll support it because I do
That's
not
what I
like
think.
that lady.
That's what I'm thinking.
I do like Orcus though, and I think that they have really proven themselves as a credible threat and probably like one of the greatest X-Men villain groups that we have had in a very long time.
Mm-hmm. I just wish Dr. Stasis wasn't a Sinister.
Yeah, I agree.
I wish he was just Dr. Stasis.
The
I like
Sinister
him
thing
as
has
a
gotten
villain.
so whatever, but I would have preferred if he was just a person. I wonder, like, I always think about adaptations, animated movies, games, and things like that. And obviously, I think Krakoa is going to be one of those things in a few years down the line when they finally do start doing X-Men stuff, gets adapted. And I've been kind of rereading a lot of books that have been going on or that we've had over this era, and it makes me wonder, like, as they adapt it, what will get changed? What will kind of get like mixed into something new? Like I think about Betsy and Rachel. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say they started doing that stuff and they wanted to do the whole Betsy with the girl thing. It's not going to be Rachel.
You're right. That's a good point.
She's too complicated to get introduced into the story. So it's like, how would they mix it up? How would they change it? I think about like this Dr. Stasis stuff. He's a really cool, interesting character, but like if they don't make Sinister a main part of whatever they're doing, how will they change him?
Mm-hmm.
Would they not even like say anything about it? He's just Dr. Stasis.
I would expect them to probably make a bunch of different changes, like kind of like that the '90s cartoon. Like Rogue wasn't there for the Phoenix Saga. I think that they would actually just change a lot of stuff around to fit the adaptations, and probably edit some things so that it wasn't so like sinister heavy. Sinister heavy.
It's just what I've been thinking about. Again, like we're in this era of the strike and like nothing's getting made, and so it's just been making me think about when stuff does come back. And again, watching Secret Invasion, which we'll talk about later. And next is just the MCU in general and like what they're doing and how they're bringing things in and how they're mixing it in. It's just really heavy on my mind right now. We're not getting until we're 50 anyway, so it doesn't matter. But when it comes, I need to be ready.
Yeah. It'll be interesting how they all end up like kind of adapting it, consolidating it all. I hope when they do Krakoa, they remember who the first X-Men vote winner was.
I think that even if they don't do that, Lorna will be there. Magneto's there. The House of M is there. They gotta have his daughter. It's not gonna be Wanda no more.
Yeah.
Actually, it still will be.
I was gonna say she'll still be around.
Yeah, she'll definitely be there. But Lorna will also be there. They love a little sister.
Could you imagine if Wanda was getting this push that like Ms. Marvel is getting, with her being made a mutant again?
Like I'm picturing it in my head. I don't like it.
I don't know if I see it.
I don't either. But even when again, not Lorna, when Wanda and Pietro were mutants, I was never really on the whole Wanda needs to come be an X-Man train. Pietro, I got it. Like he was always in the trenches. Wanda, no. I just think any story with her, or when people say like they want to see her with the X-Men, they want her to be a mutant again, for what? She wasn't over here anyway.
Yeah. I think it's more like I could see her helping out with some stuff, a cameo here or there, but I don't see her as a member of it. She's not on the field fighting the Sentinels.
Yeah. Could you imagine?
I just tried and I couldn't. No, she's not fighting the Sentinels.
That's hilarious.
No.
But
I've always also been the fan of Magneto having a human daughter. And I've always thought that that would be interesting because he had this very powerful human daughter who he thought was a mutant when he first, adopted her, but she's actually a human who, is the enemy, according to him.
And then I like how that plays too. And I like that storyline. And again, I also like that storyline better. So we'll see. You know. But that was the Hellfire Gala. I thought it was really exciting. I thought the fall was effective and the issue was well done. I felt like it was intense. I felt like if this was a movie,
Oh yeah, it's very cinematic.
like super cinematic. I would have been all into it. I would have been all about it. I would have loved to see more of like the mutants fighting back against the Sentinels. Like just a few more of them. I did appreciate some of the shots that we did get to see. Those were cool. Again, I think I would have just liked to see a couple of different mutants there.
Yeah, yeah. They tried to
But
throw in Strong Guy and was like, "Look, y'all ain't
I
seen
was
him in a
like,
while, right?"
and I was like, oh wow. So, but yeah, it was really great. It was really dope. I'd give the issue all in all. I think like a 3.8 out of 5. I think it was really effective. I think it was good.
Yeah, I would give it a 4 out of 5. I think it was pretty solid. Um, we do got to stop using Lorna's powers instead of just using her, but I would
Yeah,
still give the issue a 4 out of 5.
the girls do love to. I'm
Her powers are
sympathetic.
great.
They're great. Like they're
They
useful.
love that
Honestly,
force field, and yeah.
I hope. I did see a tweet about the issue where we were talking about it. They were like, "Was Lorna still sleeping in the tree when it was burnt?"
She was taking a
Like,
nap. She didn't want to go to the party.
yeah, so we'll see. Um, but all in all, that was the those were the comics. Those was the last comic.
Yes.
Let's go ahead. We'll take a break and then we'll be back. Oh, I gotta get my tickets for Chloe's tour.
Mm,
That's my girl.
she's not coming to LA. I wanted to go.
She's not coming here either. I'm gonna have to travel to see her. But I didn't get to go see her when she did come here because it was A, an issue with buying the tickets, and then B, the venue was kind of small. So it sold out super quick. Um, but the one she's going to, it's maybe like an hour and a half away from me. So it's not super bad.
That's not bad.
Yeah. But I'm saying
Yes. I want to hear treat me.
hey, get it down and body do. Because that song of the
Yes.
summer.
Song of the summer.
That is song of the summer.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to the watch section, the last watch section of the show and the season finale of Secret Invasion. This is
I told you
episode
everything was in
6.
this week.
Yep, it's everything coming to a close. Um, and this was the season finale. And this was directed by Ali Salim and written by Kyle Bradstreet and Brian Tucker. And before I read the synopsis, a quick um, like judgment of the show. This shit was boring and a waste of time. We could have like just maybe wrapped this up in maybe an hour show and been done with it. Otherwise, it was unnecessary. Starting to think some of this stuff is a money laundering scheme. Not sure.
As someone who enjoyed the first 3 episodes of the show, I agree. Terrible. Should not have been made. I remember a few weeks ago I said I would go back and watch it, and I probably still would go back and rewatch like either that first or second episode. But other than that, like this has been a blip. Like honestly, Marvel, Disney Plus, it's not a marriage that works. Divorce it.
Mm-mm.
Because it just hasn't been there the entire time fully. And I think that's okay. Just make movies.
I understand they were trying to use this to boost up their streaming service, and it worked. It did.
It
Clearly,
did.
they were
It did.
they were gaining subscribers all the time. It worked. However, the content is just not great. But let me go ahead and read the synopsis. So, Fury confronts Gravik at New Scrollos, gives him the harvest, and asks that he spare Earth and conquer other planets. Gravik refuses before using the harvest to empower himself and attempt to kill Fury, only to learn it is a disguised Gaia who also used the harvest. The two fight, with Gaia eventually killing Gravik. Meanwhile, Rava successfully convinces Ritson to authorize a nuclear strike on New Scrollos, but is tricked by Falsworth into arranging for Ritson's evacuation. Rava attempts to retaliate, but is killed by Fury. Ritson calls off the strike, allowing Gaia to free Gravik's human prisoners such as Ross and Rhodes. In the aftermath, Ritson issues a new bill declaring all off-world species as hostile forces and threatens to hunt down the remaining Skrulls on Earth, causing unrest as civilian public. Various high-profile officials fear for that they are Skrulls. Falls meets with Gaia and proposes a partnership to protect the Skrulls against Ritson's bill. After cautioning Ritson about the unrest he caused, Fury asks Farah to come to Savor with him to help negotiate at a peace summit with the Kree. She agrees and they leave Earth together.
For him to be the president of the United States, he is the most unguarded man I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yes.
No
Also,
one was
like,
around him.
what's up with them being so nasty and like being like, oh, we're gonna kill all of the Skrulls? That
Crazy.
doesn't seem right.
What a jump! How do we get here?
Yes,
Also,
and like we saw in the show, people are killing other officials, and they're real
it was
people.
bad. There was so much bad with this episode. The CGI, the like transitional scenes during the battles, the like dialogue was very clunky. The transition just between scene to scene was very weird. Again, the Ritson stuff. I think the whole plot looked like how they've been handling the skulls and the reveals of them has kind of gotten really messed up since I want to say probably like episode 3. I feel like they made it a point to be like, the only way you're going to see a Skrull is once you kill them. But then you start having Sonya, she's walking around shooting people in the hand and they turning green.
Clipping off fingers.
And that happens, but then again, you're trying to convince people that Rhodey is a president, and a Skrull, and you just sitting there talking about it. Shoot him.
They were talking
what is
about
the
the
problem?
entire fight with Gaia's fight.
Like, you've been doing all this to all these people this entire time. Now the time when it matters, you just standing there. Shoot this man. It was just dumb. It was just a bad episode. It was so short. Also, another thing, I feel I think it was like 20 minutes. It felt like it was horrible. It was a bad way to go out. It was really disappointing. I don't think that they were able to land the scale at which they were trying to hit. I don't think that they made you excited to see Captain Marvel, which is being quoted to be the sequel to Secret Invasion, and like set that up. I don't think. Again, I think we talked about this last time where I was saying you could tell that Sam Jackson was putting a little bit of himself into Nick Fury, and it wasn't really working for me. That trend continued. So overall, I feel like the Fury that we've been seeing over the years is a lot different from the Fury that we saw in this series, and not in a good way. It didn't truly feel evolved. It just felt like abrupt. And
it's time to be done with Fury, I think.
Yeah, he can go.
Yeah.
He can go. I will continue to say that I loved Olivia Colman in the show. I think like she was great, and anytime she spoke, I thought that like she was very commanding on screen. I did like some of what was going on with Gaia early on. This Super Skrull turn thing, big arm, little head, big head, little arm.
It was all bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You just made her the most OP character in the MCU now. Not only does she have everybody's power, literally everybody's powers.
She was doing it all, everything.
She knows how to use them. She had Captain Marvel's power. She had the powers of one of the guys from the Black Order. She had Drax's powers. How she got those and knew how to use them, I don't know. But like,
it was crazy. It was crazy. Like wild. it was a crazy finale. It was a crazy finale. And did you see the comments from the director where he was talking about the fan base? And he called it. God. He was like, he said Marvel has a very intense fan base, rabid even. He was like, they always want all of these things and they need to be pleased. And it's like, is it my job to please them? And it's like, whoa. First of all, your job is to make good content, which you failed at.
Don't be mad at us.
Like, it's bad.
You mad because we told you?
Because what everybody's telling you, that's why your show is becoming one of the lowest viewed in like the Disney Plus history or what, of all the shows they've had. I'm sorry.
Lowest ranked.
That's not my fault. You should have made sure that made sense.
That's on you. And for it to end this way, I am a fan of superhero stuff in my superhero stories. I'm not the one that's like, oh, I hate the fact that this TV show turned into this big CGI fight at the end, because I expect there to be that because I like superheroes and this is a story about superheroes, not real people. However, I expect it to at least be done well. This was just like I don't know, universe breaking, some cool
It was
moments. I guess
bad.
the Captain Marvel stuff looked cool, but then I was just thinking that I think I only thought it looked cool because it was Captain Marvel.
Yeah, it was just bad, and then it felt abrupt. It came out of nowhere. It felt unnecessary. It was just so many problems with this episode and altogether, and it truly was just a horrible way to end it. And like to know that, well, I guess not because they still got the Echo show that's coming out. I don't know. That might not even come out anymore. The way they're pushing stuff back and delaying things because of the strike, they might just scrap that too. So for this to possibly be like the last thing we see on Disney Plus,
Mm.
ugh,
Well, Loki season 2 is coming out in October.
I'm not watching that.
I don't know. I might tune in and see what's
Well,
going
no,
on.
actually, I might watch it because they fired all the people from the first one
Right.
and everyone's new. So this one might be good.
And I'm interested to see how they handle Kang.
Oh yeah.
You know. So, um,
We'll go on.
I don't know. I thought that I did think that if I had to say anything like positive about it, I did like the Gravik and Fury scene. Gravik was doing some great acting. I thought he was bringing it
Graphic is
during that.
high. Sorry, I
I had to
love
give it
graphic.
to him when he was going off and telling him like his side of everything. He was really he was really killing it. And I did. Damn, that might be it. Wait. um, I guess I also like that Vera stayed alive and that she got to go with Nick Fury and that he has a wife and all that kind of stuff. That's nice.
Yeah, that was
But
cute.
again, it felt like you didn't really even need to watch this for Captain
That's that.
Marvel
Yeah, that's been a weird like byline that's been going around.
or the
We'll see.
Marvel sequel anyway. Like
I do like
they saying there's a
love
follow up, but
graphic
like how?
because we're gonna see Fury again. I hope not this version. I hope we do something different.
Hopefully,
But
they
I loved graphic. Um, I liked Amelia Clark's character Gaia to an extent. I did love Sonya. I love those first few episodes where it just felt very intense and very impactful, and like they were kind of like getting to the when it really did feel like a spy thriller. Um,
mm,
but after that, it just clicked down, and then we got to this episode, and we hit the ground, and
it
it was
didn't land well.
not a soft landing.
What would you
So,
rate this episode?
oh, like a 1.4.
Okay, I would give it a 2 out of 5.
I
What would
was
you give the show?
the show as a whole. I'd give like a 2.5. I think that again, there were some aspects that I really liked, but like as we started, and we had talked about this, Disney Plus shows they usually make that turnaround around like episode 4 or 5. This one turned around, but it like crashed into a or something. I don't know.
It did not click up. I always get really excited about that. That
Yeah,
penultimate episode is always the one where like that's where the
it
budget is spent. But
it
no,
was like episode 3. They got to episode 4, and it was shaky, and then they just like did a free fall, start going down, and it was like whoa. So it just and again things started to get like noticeably worse in terms of the CGI, in terms of just like the plot and how it was kind of like so many holes in it. Again, 1 minute you got them saying you got to kill scrolls, next you shoot them in hand, revealing them. The next you can't even convince the president that this one is one. Like I don't know what to do. So not a nice way to go out. Very sad, very disappointing. All the best to the MCU. They've got again what 3 more projects, I guess. Loki 2, The Marvels, possibly Echo,
mhm.
and we're done.
We'll see how all those come out, or if any of those get pushed back either. Because who knows if any of the actors will be able to promote them by the time those come out. Because everybody's on strike. But I also would have probably given the series a 2.5. It was all right. I will never watch it again. But that brings us to the end of the show. This
Mm-hmm.
is the last episode, so this is all sad. But you can find our Twitter and Instagram still on at Another Relaunch. You can especially find us
Mm-hmm.
out there. We'll still be on social media separately. My social media is at Uncanny LZ. I'm still trying to change my PSN to that. It's still taking, but I don't want to add an underscore. So
Can
whoever you
you
are
like
right there,
see if the person like is active on it?
they aren't.
You should like email somebody and tell them to delete the account. Get a
I
nice little white woman email together.
might have to do that. Put a pearl set on, get a white woman
Mhm,
to email out.
mhm. And just like
You're
that,
right.
you'll have the.
You're right. McKinney, where can they find you?
As always, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Keena Lance or X now. I think it's called that.
Ciao.
They made the switch. And we'll see how that goes. And Spill. Keena Lance there too if you got one of them.
All right, y'all. Well, let's get up out of here, and you can find us online, y'all.
Peace.